Hello, I'm Gemma Creagh and I'm here with Roisín Geraghty for the Film Ireland podcast. She is the programmer for the Gaze Festival, which is coming up very, very, very soon, and they're celebrating their 25th anniversary, which is must be very excited.
Yeah, we're super excited and we're definitely in the mood for celebrating this year. So lots of exciting things to come in the programme.
Brilliant. So just tell me how the festival began.
Well, the festival began in 1992, so it's nearly as old as me. Probably one of the most interesting bits of information about the festival is that it actually began the year before homosexuality was decriminalised in Ireland, which always fascinates when I go to festivals abroad and I tell people this, it blows their mind a little bit. But it began as a touring programme of the BFI Gay and Lesbian Film Festival. So they took the touring programme to Ireland. It began as a very small number of films and it's just built every year. And now we're the biggest LGBT cultural festival in Ireland outside of Pride. It's the biggest LGBT event in the Republic of Ireland. So we're very, very excited about that. And it's the only dedicated LGBT film festival in Ireland.
Fabulous. That's very exciting. Okay, so it's now 2 years on from the referendum, and I'm just wondering, has anything kind of changed? Has the narratives changed? Have themes changed since then in Irish films? Did you notice?
I definitely think so, and every year we have more and more Irish LGBT content being submitted to the festival, and as you probably can see with films like Handsome Devil and Viva and A Day for Mad Mary that have come out in the last couple of years, like the narrative really is changing. I meet previous festival programmers for Gaze and for other LGBT film festivals all the time, and they've been doing this for years, and they talk to me like constantly about how the arc of storytelling in LGBT film has really changed. It's constantly progressing, and it's really interesting. It's really interesting to kind of follow that thread. For example, in the program this year, we are doing a 25th anniversary screening of The Crying Game.
Saw that.
So
exciting. Good timing.
Yeah, it is. We're 25, The Crying Game is 25. And I know that when that film was released, it wasn't really seen as an LGBT film, but at that time in Ireland and really all over the world, there was not a lot of LGBT films. So sometimes when we do these kind of retrospective screenings, we're sort of skewing the lens to look back at our history, to look back at the filmic history of LGBT representation on screen in Ireland and in the wider film landscape. So I think it's really interesting to screen a film like that. We actually did a screening of Neil Jordan's Breakfast on Pluto a couple of years ago to celebrate the 10th anniversary. So it's very interesting that he has these queer characters in his films. Like he was clearly ahead of the curve. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, especially with the tea. That's brilliant to be celebrating. Exactly. And it's just really, it's amazing to look back on things now.
And it's amazing to look at those films in a different way, I think. Yeah.
So tell me just a little bit before we get into what you're screening is, where do you find what you screen?
There are a few different ways that I find films. Every year we go to the Berlinale, the Berlin Film Festival, and they have dedicated LGBT film section. It's that competes for the Teddy Award. It's huge. It's been going on. I think it celebrated about its 40th anniversary or thereabouts. I'm not exactly sure exactly when it started, but it's huge. So it's really the biggest LGBT film prize in the world, I would say. So every year that's usually our first port of call, and end up programming quite a bit of content from there, and also the BFI Flair Festival in London, which takes place every March. So those are two of the biggest LGBT film festivals in the world. But aside from that, there's a lot of film distributors that specialise in queer content. And then we obviously have an open submissions, so we get a lot of amazing content that way, particularly short film.
And I was going to say, you're having a British LGBT film focus this year.
So we're doing the British LGBT film focus in association with the British Council this year. We're delighted to be partnering with them. And that came about because the UK are celebrating their 50th anniversary of decriminalisation of homosexuality this year.
We're really behind, weren't we?
26 years behind them. So they're celebrating that this year, and there are a few different reasons that I wanted to to do this British focus. Like, aside from decriminalisation and celebrating that aspect of things,
before they have to get their visas next year to come over.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, it was kind of. I know everybody is so sick of talking about Brexit, but for me, it felt quite important just to strengthen those cultural ties with, you know, our closest neighbours. And Gaze is part of the Queer Film Network in the UK, which is this amazing network of queer film programmers, and we meet twice a year and we discuss film programming and we do touring programs. So it seemed like a really great idea to get them involved in Gaze this year and celebrate the work that they've been doing over the past 2 years. The Queer Film Network started 2 years ago, and they're actually having their biannual meeting at Gaze this year. We're the only Irish, Outburst Queer Arts Festival in Belfast, and Gaze are the only 2 Irish members of the Queer Film Network. So we're getting all of these amazing programmers from the UK that are coming to the festival, and we're having our meeting, and we get to discuss all things queer film programming for 2 days over the festival weekend. Obviously, with the 50th year of decriminalisation in Britain, there are a lot of different films that are coming out of the UK. For example, there's a film called Against the Law, which is directed by an Irish director called Fergus O'Brien, which will be screening at Gaze. It's a BBC period piece. It's a beautiful docudrama about the man who spearheaded decriminalisation in the UK. So we're screening that film at the festival. Fergus O'Brien, the director, who's Irish, will attend the festival. And another great film that we're screening is called Queerama, and it's an archival film which it has taken film archive representations of LGBT people from, I think, the early 1900s right through to today. So it takes every single decade. It's a beautiful archival piece with an amazing score. The score is all it's music by John Grant and Goldfrapp and Hercules and Love Affair, and I've only seen it on the small screen so far, and I can't wait to go back and watch it on the big screen.
And then also thematically linked to the Queering in the Years.
Yes, exactly.
That's very exciting as well.
Yeah, so we're running an exhibition this year called Queering. I love the title.
I adored it. I didn't even have to look at my notes for this one. It was that's brilliant.
It's actually it's based on the PhD of Maynooth University lecturer and student named Pádraig Kerrigan, who approached us with this idea. And he has been, for the past 4 years, researching, again, similarly, representations of LGBT people in the Irish media since the 1970s. So I suppose pre-1970s, there weren't really any mentions of gay people in the Irish media.
And that's it.
Exactly. So then in the 1970s, it was, I think that's when, you know, the Late Late Show started maybe talking codedly about gay people in Ireland. And then the 1980s, there was some progression. So we're running an exhibition, that exhibition at the festival. It's taking place over the whole weekend. It'll be in the lower ground floor of the Lighthouse Cinema. And then our Yestergaze programme this year, which is a programme we do every year in association with the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland. It's a free programme. And every year it looks at LGBT history in Ireland. Last year we did a programme on Roger Casement to do with the 1916 celebrations and the centenary. And this year we're basing that on the Queering in the Years exhibition, which seemed very appropriate for us.
And I did want to mention as well, and I know we have a film-based short, Lily, screening. So it's our film-based Masters and Graham Cantwell. Yes. So we're very excited to see that in there too.
We're really excited too. It's such a great film, and it's such an important film, and we're delighted to have it be, you know, it's done so well, and it's so great to have an award-winning Irish short film screen at our festival.
Fabulous. Well, you have a great looking shorts programme.
Yeah, and every year it feels like the Irish shorts get better and better. When I first began the job 3 years ago, I was a little bit worried because I was like, are we going to be able to get enough Irish LGBT short film content to fill, you know, a 70 or 80 minute programme? And it's never been a problem. And actually, for the last 2 years, we have been sending our Irish shorts programs abroad. We run a Gaze on Tour program, so we send the Irish shorts abroad and regionally around Ireland. So we've had lots of amazing screenings. We did an Irish LGBT film focus in Montreal last year. We just did one with some Irish LGBT shorts in Bristol, in Boston earlier this year. Brilliant. So it's really exciting to be able to screen that content, and it's such strong content, like thematically, but also the production value it keeps getting better. So I'm thrilled. This year's program is as good, if not better, than the last couple of years. So we're just delighted to be able. It really is the centerpiece of Gaze for me. It's one of the most important screenings at the festival.
Well, in Filmmates, we do love our shorts,
yes.
So we were thrilled to hear that. Okay, so we also have the 34th, which is a fabulous Irish documentary screening, and that's your opening film on Thursday the 3rd at 7 p.m. So tell us a little bit about that, because that looks very interesting.
Yeah, so the 34th is a film by Linda Cullen and Vanessa Gilday from Coco Television, and they commissioned this. This is what I love most about this film, is they just decided they were making it. It wasn't, they decided this is such an important, it's so important for posterity to record as a feature documentary what happened, not just around the marriage equality referendum in 2015, but in the lead up. So this film begins in the early 2000s, I think around 2003, 2004 is when the roots of that campaign started, and it follows it right through to the referendum.
Brilliant.
So we're having the world premiere of that film, and we see big things for it, because it really is the kind of film, it's such a celebration, and I think it's going to go down really well for the home audience, but I think that it's the kind of film that will travel really well, and it will show how far Ireland has come in such a short period of time. When I present Gaze, and when we present Gaze at festivals abroad, people's minds are kind of, because a lot of people do still see Ireland as a very conservative country.
And in some ways we still are.
And in some ways we still are, but I like to spin it in a positive sense. I feel like Ireland has come so far in such a short period of time, and I really think that that's something worth celebrating. Definitely. And that's what we try and do with Gaze.
And that's fabulous. I'm very excited actually, because this definitely looks like something. I think also it's so inspirational and positive. At the moment, politics can worldwide seem a little bit scary, and having something that's here's some of the good stuff that's happening, people. And actually, so you watch films from all over the world consistently. Is there anything you notice thematically jumping out at you from different regions, or anything that's shifting?
Well, something that I'm noticing is the progression in trans content and feature film. There is a lot of documentaries with more documentaries. It's still a bit more difficult to find live action film with transgender characters as the main protagonist, but there are a lot of incredible coming out stories about trans characters, and they're developing all the time. I've even noticed, this is my 3rd year program in Gaze, and those stories are becoming stronger and stronger, and they're coming out of countries that maybe would not be considered as progressive as well, here in Ireland. I know, as we just said, we've come a long way. We still have a long way to go, but that's something that I've noticed a trend in, just that there is more trans content coming out, and it's amazing to see, because we want more of that. Actually, to go back to the Irish shorts, we have a fantastic Irish short film that looks at transgender representation called Tuesday Night from Pondering Media, which is screening in our Irish shorts program. We're very excited about that.
And what would be your personal picks for the upcoming films? What would be your personal favourites? I know you can't pick your babies, but just maybe that you'd recommend to people.
I am absolutely thrilled that we'll be screening the film God's Own Country, as our closing night film this year. I saw it at the Berlin Film Festival in February, and it's incredible. It screened at Sundance, it screened in Berlin, it just screened at the Edinburgh Film Festival. I went to see it for a second time just because I loved it so much.
Brilliant.
It's really, really brilliant. And it's also a British film, so it ties in with our British focus. And the director, Francis Lee, it's his debut feature. It's getting a lot of attention. It's really getting a lot of very positive critical attention. It's being released at the beginning of September. So we're screening the film just a month in advance of its release. And it'll be released here in Dublin, I think. So that film, I can't wait to see. Some people have been describing it as the English Brokeback Mountain set in the North English moors. That's probably a little bit too general. It's a very different film. It's probably it's more, to me, it's more uplifting than Brokeback Mountain.
That was very depressing.
But
depressing.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's romantic. It's a great character study. To me, it's just a really beautiful film. I love films that just kind of like hit you in the heart. I get, obviously programming is my job. And so a film that that gets me very emotional. Yes. And that really, hits me in the gut. Those are the kind of films that I love. So, and that really did that for me this year. So God's Own Country. Definitely, and get your tickets soon because it's going to sell out.
So that's it. Everyone has to book God's Own Country.
The 34th.
Irish shorts, of course.
Yes.
All the shorts.
Yes.
And actually give a special mention to some good foreign language films.
The Wound is a brilliant South African film that's screening. Axolotl Overkill is a German film from a female director in Germany based on her own novel. I don't even think she's 30 yet, and she has created this terrible masterwork.
And what's it about?
It is about a young girl in Berlin. It's a coming of age film about a character who it's described as she looks 13 and she acts like she's 35, like just kind of a wild romp through Berlin. Right. It's excellent. And if you've been to Berlin, it's definitely one to see. If you've been to Berlin and you love Berlin, definitely go to see this film. Obviously, Tom of Finland is a huge film for us this year, which is about the cult artist Tom of Finland. This film has been in the works for a long time, and every year when I start programming Gaze, I think, is Tom of Finland ready yet? And finally we have the Irish premiere of that film, which is going to be huge, I think. It's Saturday night, so it's centrepiece of the festival. Tomcat is a fantastic Austrian film that we're screening this year in association with the Austrian Embassy. Dreamboat is a really brilliant documentary about a gay cruise ship.
Oh, I love it.
Which on the surface seems like, the film is, when I went to see it, I was like, oh, this is just going to be, a wild reality show on a cruise ship. It's nothing like that. It's a really beautiful film that follows three gay men, one from Poland, one from Palestine, and one from India, living in the Middle East. And it's their stories. The film is a lot to do with gay identity, issues surrounding gay identity and coming to terms with your sexuality, especially with characters like that have come from more conservative countries, especially, Palestine and India, those characters. And the characters are so warm and they're so easy to relate to. And it's a really brilliant film, and the filmmaker will be in attendance, and that Brilliant. Film we're presenting in association with the Goethe Institute. Brilliant. So we're very excited about that. As Friday Night of Gaze would be another very popular one, so get your tickets in advance.
And then drinks after in the Lighthouse.
Yes,
lovely bar down there.
Another special programme that we're presenting with the Queer Film Network that I mentioned earlier is we are screening a film called Don't Look at Me That Way, another German film. We've quite a strand of German films this year.
I was going to say that. Some fabulous German.
A lot of a great German film this year. So we're screening this film, Don't Look at Me That Way, and we are presenting a panel called Looking Awry, which looks at representations of bisexual characters in film, which is something, you know, we're an LGBT film festival, but it's not that often that the B gets a look in. So this year we're presenting a film called Don't Look at Me That Way, as well as a discussion with a film academic named Jacob Engelberg from Eyes Wide Open Cinema. It's a queer cinema program in Brighton in the UK, and he is presenting a talk called Looking Awry, which looks at, it kind of dissects bisexual representation in cinema. It's going to be incredibly interesting because I feel like bisexuals are often misunderstood in cinema. And so that's definitely not one to miss. It's on the Saturday afternoon of Gaze. It's the first programme of the day, and Don't Look at Me That Way is an excellent film, and Jacob is a fantastic speaker, and he's very eloquent and he's very knowledgeable about bisexual cinema. He wrote his master's thesis on this exact subject, so that's probably going to be a highlight for me this year. Another highlight of the festival this year for me is the Flare Tactics programme, which is about, basically looks at filmmaking and activism. So brilliant. I think that's something that's, I know you mentioned before that, you know, Gaze is a celebration this year and it's all about positivity, but, you know, the current political climate in the world is
terrifying.
It's terrifying and difficult, and we want to look at positive ways that we can make change as filmmakers, as film goers, as film consumers. So we're presenting this panel called Flare Tactics. It's a screening of activist film and then a panel discussion around that idea, the idea of creative media making and activism, around, you know, from using your mobile phone to you know, early activist film. So we like we're looking at it through. We're looking at this, you know, and using LGBT film and LGBT activism as like a jumping off point. Yeah. But we want to look at all activism as well. So we've an amazing group of panelists that are going to be speaking on the day. We're presenting it in association with GCN Town Hall Talks, Gay Community News. So the editor of GCN, Brian Finnegan, will be taking part in the panel discussion. Paul Rowley, who is an Irish filmmaker, he's based in New York, but he's chairing the discussion, and he's an incredible back catalogue of documentary. He made the film Seaview a number of years ago with Still Films, which looks at asylum seekers under direct provision in Ireland. Excellent. It's probably one of my favourite Irish documentaries. So he is going to chair the discussion. He lives in New York, so he's involved with an organisation called Gaze Against Guns, and he actually makes a lot of their video work. So we will be presenting a film from Gaze Against Guns. We have Ruth McCarthy, who is the director of Outburst Queer Arts Festival in Belfast. She is an incredible, articulate woman who always has very interesting insights, and she's an activist herself. And obviously, Gaze, you know, we want to encompass Northern Ireland within themes of the festival. So we try to get Outburst involved as much as we can with the festival every year. And, you know, there's a lot happening politically in Northern Ireland at the moment.
Definitely.
And marriage equality is high on the agenda. And so being able to discuss marriage equality in Northern Ireland would be very interesting for us. And we also have Dr. Monica Pearl, who is a professor in Manchester, who was actually an original member of ACT UP in New York. So she is coming and she's going to speak about her experiences being involved with ACT UP in the 80s and 90s. And she's presenting an excerpt from a film about ACT UP. So there's a lot happening with that. But what we really want with this panel discussion is we want it to be incredibly interactive with the audience.
Sounds like you could sit down and listen to them for days.
I know.
Much experience there.
I think it's going to be tough to keep that within 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I think that, for me, I think that's probably one of the most interesting things that will be happening at Gaze. It's happening on the Monday at 1:30, so it'll be worth getting out of bed with a hangover to come to the Lighthouse.
Yes.
And to discuss. We also will be discussing a lot of the term intersectionality is being bandied about a lot these days, and we want to discuss that term with relation to film and activism and how different activist groups can come together to make change.
And then as well, is there any kind of filmmakers coming over to promote their work that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yes, so a lot of British filmmakers this year. So as I mentioned, Fergus O'Brien, who is an Irish filmmaker based in the UK, he's coming to Gaze to present Against the Law, which is the docudrama about decriminalisation of homosexuality in the UK. Daisy Asquith, who is an award-winning, she's a British filmmaker, but she has a very strong Irish heritage. Actually, her last film was called After the Dance, and it explored her family history in the west of Ireland. So she's presenting her newest film, Queerama, that I mentioned, which is the archival piece about LGBT representation in cinema from the early 1900s right through to the 90s and today. The filmmaker Tristan Ferland-Milewski will be coming to Gaze as well to present his documentary Dreamboat. Gary Love, who is the director of the film The Dark Mile, another British film, will be coming to Gaze on Friday the 4th to present that film. And then we have a lot of programmers attending the festival this year that we're very excited about.
No pressure.
No pressure. Obviously, we want to showcase Irish film to them, so we're absolutely thrilled to have them, and I'll be pushing them all in the door to the Irish shorts.
But listen, thank you so much for talking to us. Now, everyone, there's too much to choose from. I'd say you have to get the full ticket.
Yeah, I feel that we didn't even
now
cover a quarter of the programme there, but I suppose it's too much to discuss everything. But our entire programme is available at www.gaze.ie. Our full programme is online. Tickets are available online and through the Lighthouse Cinema box office. So I would strongly suggest buying your tickets in advance because tickets are flying out the door.
Well, thank you so much.
No
Excellent.
problem.
And we're done.